Hello everyone, this is part 67 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Good. Everyone's here, announced the Akatsuki leader as he looked around to see the 9 Akatsuki members around him. Let's begin the sealing right hours so we don't waste any time. Fuinjutsu, 9 phantom dragons consuming seal. As the jutsu initiated, 9 blue dragons emerged from the Gedo Mazo and engulfed Yugito, lifting her into the air as the red chakra of the Nibi began to seep from her. For the first time in decades, the sealing archives of the Uzumaki clan were bustling with activity as dozens of blonde Uzumakis frantically dashed around between each shelf, grabbing scroll after scroll and leaving 4 stupefied companions gawking at the door. Standing in the middle of the chaos was the original Naruto, calling out to his clones which scrolls to store where, and as the sun dipped low in the evening sky, just 7 large scrolls remained of the entire Uzumaki archives. Rolling out one last giant scroll, Naruto sealed the 7 scrolls into that one scroll, before sealing it shut with an Uzumaki B seal. To think an entire library could fit inside a single scroll, mused Kakashi. The wonders of Fuinjutsu. Absent from the ensuing chaos were the 2 other Uzumakis. Hey Nichan, I found one, exclaimed Karen as she exited the vault room, a few possessions in tow. Karen, what did you find? Replied Naruto. Great Gram and Gramps' locker, said Karen as she laid the belongings in front of her. Included was an Uzumaki sword as well as a journal, similar to the one Naruto found in Mori Ojiji's locker. Naruto picked up the sword to give it a close examination. It doesn't seem sentient, nor can I see any sort of sealing matrix on the blade, thought Naruto. Kurama. No, I don't sense anything out of the ordinary about this blade. It's nothing more than a well-crafted blade, answered Kurama as Naruto handed the sword back to Karen. Sorry Nichan, but I can't feel anything in this one, said Naruto as Karen pouted slightly. Honestly, I'm surprised that there are even sentient blades left, replied Ren. That was one thing about the Uzumakis the other nations feared when they attacked. I was honestly shocked when you told me that your blade was sentient and it was Shuichi-sama's. I honestly can't believe Shuichi-sama would go into battle without it. Perhaps that's the reason he went without it, proposed Sasuke. Naruto, you said they knew that was going to be their last battle, right? The blonde Uzumaki nodded. Well, perhaps he knew all the sentient blade would be lost after this battle and wanted to preserve one for future generation. Or maybe there's something else, said Naruto. While I can feel Arashi, I can't help but feel that our connection's not complete. I've tried reaching out to my sword before, and while it seems like it'll let me use some of its power, I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing something. Of course, said Ren. It's because Arashi was never your sword. Arashi was Shuichi-sama's sword, and while Arashi may lend you its strength, you'll never be able to access its full power. Still, the fact that Shuichi-sama's blade has accepted you as a wielder is fascinating. Hey Ren, what do you know about the Uzumaki swords? Asked Naruto. Not much besides what my parents told me. They just said that the swords are rare and they only chose one master, and when that master the blade loses its sentience, explained Ren. But for this one to still have its sentience. I see, sighed Naruto. I should ask Mifune-sensei next time I see him. Maybe he can tell me more regarding this. Also, now that I think about it, motioned Ren. Aren't the 2 of you from the same line? Looking up from his book, Kakashi saw his student go pale white at that realization. Nisan, is something wrong? Asked Karen. No, nothing, replied Naruto, trying to brush it off. In actuality, he realized just how close Orochimaru was to getting his hands on the Uzumaki's most powerful scrolls. In all the excitement of finding his own lockers last time he was here, he had only traced the paternal branches on the family tree, forgetting all about the maternal branches. Naruto was now extremely curious as to what is in the journal in Karen's hands and what sort of sealing knowledge it potentially contained. However, he'd have to wait until he was back in Konoha before looking into it, as his clones were putting the finishing touches on packing up the entire archives. Are you sure you're not going to come with us, Ren? Asked Kakashi as they prepared to depart the island the following morning, seeing as their mission objective was completed. I'm certain. I still need to find my sister. Only then will I come to Konoha and help you re-establish the Uzumaki clan, replied Ren. Naruto nodded in understanding. At least keep in touch then, and if you see anyone else from our clan, said Naruto. Don't worry, I'll send them to Konoha. In the event I can't, then the Land of Iron, assured Ren, extending a hand to Naruto. Goodbye for now, cousin. Same to you, replied Naruto. Take care, cousin. And hopefully you find your sister soon. The boat ride back to the mainland was pretty uneventful considering Naruto knew a jutsu to temporarily neutralize the whirlpools. Hey guys, do you notice something off? Asked Sakura as they stepped off the boat. There are a number of chakra signatures around town, responded Karen. Instantly, everyone was on the guard. Kumo, stated Kakashi as he noticed a pair of cloud ninja. Immediately, everyone's guards were up. Ever since the Chunin exams 3 years ago, Kumogakur had been growing increasingly hostile towards Konoha, more skirmishes along the north border, more attempts by Kumo to capture Konoha ninja with special bloodlines, and more ridiculous diplomatic demands. If things between Konoha and Kumo continued as is, Kakashi and many of the other more experienced ninja feared a full-scale war would break out between Konoha and Kumo within a few years at most. Quietly and quickly, let's get out of here. I don't know what Kumo wants, but the border is not far away. Once we get back into the Land of Fire, we shouldn't have a problem, especially since our patrols have been increased. With stealth, the group of 6 Konoha ninja made their way through town, using Karen's sensing abilities to pinpoint the safest route out of the town. Rounding the corner in the alleyway, they came onto Last Street and the gate exiting the village came into view. One last sprint to the finish and they'd be home free. Wait, called out Karen. I sense 4 chakra signatures just beyond the gate. So they've blocked all the entrances into and out of the town? Asked Kakashi. Extending her senses, Karen nodded about Kumo having established a perimeter around the town. Kakashi swore. Were they here because of them or did they just happen to get caught up in something else? Stuff like this, Kakashi hated. He hated not knowing. The last thing he wanted was to get into a fight with this many Kumo ninja. Something like this surely wouldn't help relations, and the last thing he wanted was to introduce his students to the true horrors of war. Before they could put any more thoughts into what was going on, a kunai came sailing through the air. Sasuke managed to catch it with relative ease, and the trajectory of the kunai indicated it wasn't intended to hurt or kill, just to get someone's attention. Konoha ninja, halt, commanded one cloud ninja. Immediately, everyone took up a defensive formation as a number of Kumo ninja surrounded them. Upon examining their potential foes, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura recognized 2 of them as Omoi and Karui from the Chunin exams years ago. What's going on? Asked Kakashi. We're under no obligation seeing as this isn't Konoha's territory, replied what appeared to be the head Kumo ninja, a blonde kunoiki with sharp eyes and a rather busty C. They're not attacking, nor are they really making any moves to attack. As Kakashi analyzed the situation in his head, another Kumo ninja came onto the scene and whispered something in the ears of the lead ninja. Giving a slight nod, the other Kumo ninja went on his ways. Still, despite efforts to cover up the communication, Kakashi could read them. They're looking for something. Or someone. Nor is this Kumo's territory. Let me try this, are we your targets? Asked Kakashi again. Whether you are or aren't, we can't allow you to leave like this, replied the Kumo ninja, sending a glance towards Sasuke. Kakashi mentally growled. Whether they were targeted by this operation or not, Kumo wasn't going to let an A-rank criminal by their books get away. There's a massive chakra signature closing in fast, exclaimed Karen, breaking the tension between the Kumo and Konoha ninja. Of course, I feel him too, realized Naruto as Kurama alerted him to a familiar presence. Yo, stand down you tools, we ain't got time for no fools, Bakiyaru Koniao, rapped KB. B-sama, exclaimed half the Kumo ninja present. You can't be here. It's not safe. This KB ain't just gonna sit, not while those bastards have Lil, too, replied B. What? Shouted Naruto. Akatsuki's got Yugito. Besides the fact that Naruto could understand B, This news came as a shock to the rest of the Konoha ninja, and Kakashi couldn't help but fear what was coming next. You got that right, Mr. 9, replied B. When? Where? Asked Naruto. The Kumo ninja sighed. B's presence had let the cat out of the bag on this one, literally. 4 days ago, we received word that Akatsuki had attacked and captured Yugito. We've been looking for her ever since, the blonde Kunoiki said. 4 days you say? Asked Naruto, getting a nod in return. This is bad. What do you mean? Tell us. What do you know? Asked Karui. Akatsuki's going to extract the Nibi from Yugito Nichan, answered Naruto. What? Shouted all the Kumo ninja present. Kakashi couldn't help but begin to worry more as a few more Kumo ninja arrived. What Naruto was doing was either going to make matters worse, by drawing more attention to them, or better, by shifting their attention entirely, and he couldn't quite pinpoint which yet. How do you know what they're going to do? Are you working with them? Asked the blonde Kunoiki. Samui, barked B. Let Mr. 9 speak, Bakayaro Koniyaro. About a month ago, Akatsuki attacked Sunagakur. They were after Gaara, or rather the Ichibi, explained Naruto. My team, we were called on to assist in tracking Akatsuki and retrieving Gaara. When we managed to track where Akatsuki had taken Gaara, we found them trying to suck the Ichibi out of Gaara and into this statue. Thankfully, we arrived just in time. What statue? Asked B. B actually sounded serious with this question, a rarity that the Kumo ninja picked up on, and something that managed to slightly divert their attention away from the Konoha ninja present. The Gedo Mazoa. I think that's what Kurama called it, replied Naruto. No, gasped B as the Hachibi quickly filled him in on the details he was missing. B-sama, asked Karui. What's this Konoha punk talking about? Hachibi-san just gave me the lowdown on that store, yo. It's bad news, ya here. We have no time for fools, we need to find Lil, too and fast, Bakayaro Koniyaro, replied B. Before Naruto could say anything else, he was snatched up by an ink hawk and carried away into the air. Atop the hawk was Sai, his supposed teammate. Sai, what the hell? Shouted Naruto as he grabbed a kunai and jammed it into the hawk's body, dispelling it and causing both him and Sai to fall to the ground. Using the trees, Naruto safely made touchdown while Sai summoned a second ink hawk. Naruto, I feel I've been around you enough to know that you're going to do something stupid, said Sai. Something I'd strongly advise against. What? Why? Why should I abandon Yugito to those Akatsuki creeps? We don't have much time. If we waste any more she'll. Said Sai. She's a dangerous enemy to the Leaf and her death will only help weaken our enemy. By this time, everyone else, both Kumo and Konoha had arrived and was observing the falling out between comrades. The Kumo ninja, except for B, were about ready to take up arms against the Konoha ninja as Sai appeared as if he wanted Yugito's. If what the blonde Jinchuriki had said was true, they had wasted too much time already on these guys. And you don't understand, Sai, Akatsuki can't get their hands on the Biju. If they do, something bad will happen, replied Naruto. What is so bad that could warrant us saving an enemy's weapon, just so they could turn and use it on us? Inquired Sai. Now Naruto could feel the rage in him swell, not just his rage, but also Kurama's. Yugito's not a weapon, growled Naruto. She's a Jinchuriki, just like you. And as a Jinchuriki, she's a weapon. We are all weapons to be used by our village as it sees fit, some are just more powerful than others, and as a Jinchuriki, she's one of the most powerful tools a village has, explained Sai. And, she's a tool to a village who has been increasingly hostile towards us. If she remains, it's only a matter of time before Kumo uses her as a weapon against us. Before Sai could even register what was going on, his hawk had been dispelled and he found himself against the ground, by a red, QB-eyed Naruto. Don't ever refer to Yugito as a weapon again. Knowing he wasted too much time on Sai, Naruto turned to all of the shinobi in attendance. Kakashi-sensei, I don't care what you do or think, but if you want to stop me from saving Yugito Nichan, you're going to have to knock me out, tie me up, and drag Maya back to Konoha. I'll take full responsibility with this from Barkan after I rescue Yugito, declared Naruto. Octopops, let's go find our sister. Right on, 9-0, nodded B. Barker, sighed Sakura and Sasuke. This didn't surprise them at all. They turned to Kakashi, waiting for his comment. After a moment's pause, the scarecrow spoke. Well, there is a standing order from Hokage-sama to eliminate any Akatsuki members, mused Kakashi. The Kumo ninja couldn't believe what was happening, with these Konoha ninja actually willing to help them retrieve Yugito. Before anything else could happen, 4 more ninja and a dog jumped out of the nearby forest, all bearing Konoha headbands. Upon seeing the number of Kumo headbands, the 4 newcomers were immediately on guard, kunai at the ready. Stand down, Guy, Neji, Haku, Kiba, we all share a similar goal, the elimination of Akatsuki. Kakashi explained quickly to Guy the situation. So now that we're all on the same page, does anyone know where Akatsuki took Yugito? Asked Kakashi. The Kumo ninja sighed as in reality, none of them had any clue where Akatsuki went. They had hoped perhaps this band of Konoha ninja knew something when they first encountered them, but that didn't appear to be the case. Naruto. Sorry, Kakashi-sensei, I'm not picking up anything, sighed Naruto as Kurama tried to send out a radar pulse to search for Matatabi. If he wasn't picking up anything, she was either too far away or extremely weak, or worse. Me neither, added B. Give me a minute and I'll see if Akamaru and I can pick up her trail, said Kiba. Naruto, a word, motioned Kakashi, pulling his blonde subordinate aside. As much as you don't want to hear this, you have to realize that Sai is right in what he said. Our relations with Kumo have been strained ever since 3 years ago, and helping Kumo get their Jinchuriki back when we can't trust them is just asking for trouble for Konoha. However, I'm trusting you with this because Akatsuki getting their hands on the Biju is just as bad, if not worse. But realize that should anything bad befall Konoha as a result of this, it'll be on your hands. Do you understand? I do, Kakashi-sensei, but I can't sit back and let Akatsuki just absorb the Biju in that statue, replied Naruto. It's faint, but I think I've got something, called out Kiba, shocking even Kakashi. Kiba, how? Asked a surprised Kakashi. Even he wasn't picking up anything despite being a skilled tracker himself. You don't even have anything with her scent. Trust me, Kakashi-sensei. It's not a scent I'll forget easily, said Kiba. I see, those you defeat are easily forgotten, but those who beat you are hard to forget, thought Kakashi. Right, lead the way. Yosh. With the speed of youth, let's go. Proclaimed Guy before he darted off, leaving everyone else in the dust. I hate to say it, but Guy's right. We need to make haste now, more than ever if we hope to reach the Nibi in time, added Kakashi. I don't think I need to remind you that when we find her, we'll probably have to face Akatsuki. We were counting on it, sensei, grinned Sasuke. If luck was on his side, Itachi would be at the hideout in person. He couldn't help but find himself wishing Fu was here for a bit of extra luck. Samui turned to the Kumo ninja present. Karui, Omoi, and myself will go with the Konoha ninja. The rest of you, notify the other parties and tell them where to go. B-sama, you need to go back to the village where it's safe. No, this Jinchuriki won't abandon Lil, too, objected B. Lead the way, bro. Let's go, Akamaru, ordered Kiba as the 4 Kumo ninja and 10 Konoha ninja took off in the direction Akamaru was leading them. Leader Sama, we have company, mentioned B Zetsu. It matters not though, they're not going to make it in time, added W Zetsu. Good. Let's complete the final stage of sealing, ordered the Akatsuki leader. The Kyuubi and Hachibi are with them, mentioned B Zetsu, catching the leader's attention. 2 Jinchuriki, would Hiden and Kakazu be able to handle them along with the remaining ninja Zetsu mentioned, which included Hatake Kakashi and Uchiha Sasuke, both of which had defeated, or K in Sasori's case, Akatsuki members. Sorry Itachi, apologized Hiden. But looks like not only are Kakazu and I going to get your Biju, but I get to s your little brother to Jashin-sama. Itachi only responded with a cold glare before the leader spoke. Itachi, kiss him, the 2 of you are close, addressed leader. Once sealing concludes, go assist in the capture of the Hachibi and Kyuubi immediately. Hi, Leader Sama, replied Itachi. Sasuke, can we really take 2 Jinchuriki at once, senpai? I mean, they're both really strong, said Toby. After this and the Ichibi, the villagers are bound to be onto us. This is our best opportunity to capture the Kyuubi and Hachibi, said leader. We're getting close, Kakashi-sensei, advised Kiba as the trail became increasingly stronger. Right, Naruto, Neji, motioned Kakashi, both nodding in acknowledgement of what Kakashi was talking about. Naruto, trap 200 meters at 1 o'clock, advised Neji. Naruto advanced and with a quick seal, disabled the trap seal before it could be set off. This little dance repeated itself 3 more times before the contingent of shinobi found themselves staring a giant boulder in the face, similar as to the hideout that Akatsuki had taken Gaara to. The presence of the traps helped Kiba's case that he was on the right trail. Tracking an old and faint trail like this, all on memory, Chun would certainly be impressed. The barrier seal's down, Sakura-chan, said Naruto as he disabled the barrier protecting the hideout. With a crack of her knuckles, Sakura rushed forward and s her fist into the boulder. At first, a single small crack, but that small crack propagated before erupting into dozens of cracks, reducing the boulder to rubble. Sasuke couldn't help but shiver. It happened every time Sakura put on a display of her ungodly strength. Yugito! Shouted the Kumo ninja as they rushed into the base, Konoha following close behind. As the dust cleared, they could see Yugito, suspended by the blue dragons. They had made it in time. Sealing complete. Or not, everyone watched in horror as Yugito's lifeless body fell to the hard ground below as the dragons retreated back into the statue. From the statue's fingers, the figure with the ringed eyes turned to the shadows of Itachi and Kisame. Go! With the leader's command issued, the shadows of Itachi and Kisame flickered out of existence. Kakazu and Hiden jumped down from their perch upon the Gedo Mizo's fingers, landing just by Yugito's body as Hiden put his foot on her head. Why you? Growled Karui as she drew her sword and charged the grinning Hiden. Hiden simply responded by kicking Yugito's lifeless body towards Karui, causing the red-headed Kunoichi to stop her charge and catch body. However, Hiden suddenly appeared in front of her, his scythe readied. However, before Hiden could attack, he was in the side by a giant purple fist. Karui, we need to keep cool. Remember, these guys beat Yugito. We can't afford to rush things, advised Samui. Relenting, Karui retreated to the back of the group with Yugito's body in hand as Sakura and B rushed to her. Sakura-chan, asked Naruto. I'm sorry Naruto, apologized Sakura. She couldn't detect any signs of life in the Kumo Jinchuriki's body. I see, replied Naruto as he focused his attention towards the ones responsible. However, the other Jinchuriki just uncharacteristically sat in the back, looking on at Yugito's corpse. It seemed that Yugito's death had hit B pretty hard. So long as there was a chance she wasn't he still remained lively and energetic, but now that the cold hard truth was staring him in the face. Sakura-chan, is there anything you can do? Asked Naruto. Sakura took a moment to think. Perhaps. It's a long shot, but I can try, replied Sakura. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi-san, 2 chakra signatures closing in fast, 10 kilometers out, announced Karen, interrupting Sakura. While Kakashi found himself amazed at the female Uzumaki's sensory ability, this wasn't the time to display it. The last thing they needed right now were 2 more Akatsuki members, and 2 that took out 3 of Konoha's Jonin years ago, including himself. It's him, Itachi, growled Sasuke. Somehow, he just knew it, and the fact that Itachi's and Kisame's shadow disappeared before the statues only helped to support his theory. Sasuke, Kakashi relented. He knew, Itachi was coming and there was no stopping his anxious apprentice. Sasuke already had 1 shot at his brother, only for it to turn out to be a fake. No, Sasuke needed to finally bury the hatchet so he could truly move on, the sooner the better. Take Guy and hold them off. But how will they know where the other 2 are? Asked Neji. I can guide them, offered Karen. Nichan, Naruto was about to object. I might not be able to fight them yet, but it's the least I can do. Once we find them, I'll get out of the way, replied Karen. And then I'll get Sasuke-kun away from that pink-haired bee and then he'll be all mine. Sasuke-kun, called out Sakura before Sasuke could turn away. Just make sure you come back to me. Sasuke said nothing, but gave Sakura a nod in acknowledgement. Taking one last look back, he eyed Naruto looking at him. Naruto and Sakura, Itachi was coming, and if he didn't stop his brother now, then 2 of his most important people would be at the mercy of the one who already took everything from him once. Go team, kick your brothers, replied Naruto. And Guy-sensei, be sure to give my regards to Fish Face as well. Yosh, let's go, exclaimed Guy. Karen, Guy, and Sasuke left to ensure aid didn't come to the Akatsuki members. Kakashi-sensei, repeated Sakura. Take KB and see what you can do, relented Kakashi. He already knew there would be some form of repercussions by doing this, but something was telling him his students would do it regardless, and frankly, he didn't have the time to argue right now as he stared at their opponents. Not to mention, based on what he knew about KB, the man was a wild card. He didn't know if the Jinchuriki of the Hachibi would either work with the group or try to fight his own fight, and that was a chance he wasn't willing to take right now, considering that two of his opponents were Akatsuki. Nodding to Kakashi's consent, Sakura and B left the cave with Yugito's body to take shelter a short distance away while she tried to work a medical miracle. With Sakura and B-san, please set her down, motioned Sakura as the two of them moved far enough away from the current battlefield where they wouldn't be in any danger. We don't have much time. Quickly, B set Yugito's body down in front of Sakura as the pink-haired medic began her preparations. Thankfully, there were no glaring external injuries with the exception of some dried up and recently scarred over wound marks, but if what Sakura understood was correct, Yugito had been alive right up until the sealing of the Nibi was complete. It took them approximately 4 minutes to get Yugito's body away from the Akatsuki, meaning she had just 6 minutes left until the 10-minute mark. After that, the chances of reviving Yugito were nil. Even still, being S for 4 minutes and counting meant this would not be easy. B-san, please stand back, advised Sakura as she built chakra up in the palms of her hands, taking extra care to properly convert it to a lightning nature. Ninpo, defibrillation jutsu. Sakura S her charged hands into Yugito's lifeless sea, sending 500 volts straight through her heart, hoping the electricity would be able to restart it. Nothing. Again. Ninpo, defibrillation jutsu, shouted Sakura as she redid her jutsu, only increasing the power to 600 volts. Again, nothing. Sakura let out a sigh. She knew the odds were against her here. Charging her jutsu up to the maximum power, 1000 volts. Ninpo, defibrillation jutsu. Once again, nothing. Sakura found herself growing slightly frustrated as she attempted her jutsu once more, but to no avail. The odds of Yugito surviving were growing dimmer as the 7-minute mark passed. Why did she care so much for this kunoichi from Kumo? Well, the first answer was Naruto. She knew that Yugito meant a lot to Naruto, being a fellow Jinchuriki and one of the few who could truly understand what he had to experience in his life, but the second, well, she kind of owed Yugito. It was Yugito who bailed them out during their first go at the Chunin exam, when Gaara appeared in AM state. If it hadn't been for Yugito, she and her team might have never made it out of the forest alive. Despite the severely strained relations between Konoha and Kumo, this cat-like kunoichi had never shown any animosity towards her or her friends. Flashback, the night after the first set of fights in the third round. Sakura and Hinata were walking through the village of Kumogakure, frustrated after finding this supposedly great sushi restaurant, only to be denied service and thrown out. As the two kunoichi made their way back to hotel where everyone from Konoha was staying, a pair of Kumogakure citizens called out to them. Yeah, that's right. Keep walking, Konoha whores, jeered one. After being denied service, Sakura was already in a bad mood and she wasn't willing to take any harassment right now. Just leave them be, Sakura-san. They're not worth it, replied Hinata as she tried desperately to cool down her friend. You're really just going to let them talk to you like that? Argued Sakura. Their words are only that, words, replied Hinata. They mean nothing to me. Hinata let out a horrified shriek. Hinata, shouted Sakura as she turned to see that one of those two guys from Kumo had come up behind Hinata and was in the process of her B. The look on Hinata's face was a mixture of surprise, shock, terror, and disgust. As the rage welled up inside her, Sakura did the one thing she did best and her fist into the molester's face, sending him flying back into a nearby wall. Oi! What do you think you're doing, you ugly Konoha B? Shouted the molester's friend as Sakura proceeded to comfort Hinata. Almost instantaneously, several Kumo citizens began to surround the two girls, looks of hatred, malice, and lust in their eyes. Both Sakura and Hinata could tell, these guys had given in to the mob mentality spreading around Kumo and had thrown all logic and reasoning out the door. This situation had turned ugly in a heartbeat. If they fought back, It would only draw more angry people and the impending fight would only get worse. If they didn't, well then it was obvious that these villagers would try to rape the two Konoha girls standing in front of them. In short, it was a lose-lose situation. As one of the men made his move on the girls, the two Kunoiki decided they'd fight, but before the man could even take a second step he was stopped as one set of claws pressed against his and the other, against his. The growing mob was stopped in their tracks by the blonde-haired Kunoiki's appearance. Hell yeah. Yugito's gonna show these Konoha whores that they can't just waltz in here all high and mighty. Shouted one of the people in the mob. Enough, shouted Yugito as she flared a little of the Nibi's chakra, scaring the Kumo citizens out of their mindless rage. As she approached Sakura and Hinata, the Kumo Kunoiki bowed before them. I sincerely apologize for what my comrades did to the two of you. The stunned crowd tried desperately to reject Yugito's apology, but a little more demonic chakra and a few blue flames coming from her body was enough to scare the gathered mob back into whatever crevasse they crawled out of. After that, the cat-like Kunoiki escorted them back to the safety of the inn before apologizing once more. End flashback. After that, any ounce of respect for Kumogakure was thrown out the window. And while B seemed fine, she was still extremely cautious around the man. No, Yugito was the lone person from Kumo who Sakura had any ounce of respect for. And she'd be damned if her debts to this Kunoiki went unpaid. Sakura flipped open one of the scroll compartments on her flax jacket and pulled out a scroll before opening it and laying it across Yugito's sea. This was one of those medical scrolls Naruto had given her before he left for his trip with Master Jiraiya, known as the resuscitation seal. It worked similar to her defibrillation jutsu in that initially sealed the chakra away, but immediately released it in the form of a chakra shock. However, it had additional elements to the seal that added a life support aspect to the matrix. While she was nowhere near Naruto's level in seals, soon it had taught her the necessary skills in order to use medical seals like this one. Fuin, resuscitation seal. Sakura poured her chakra into the seal and a shock of chakra was pulsed into Yugito's system. And then, Sakura heard it, a heartbeat. Caught up in the moment, she relaxed her chakra going into the seal and the effects were immediate as Yugito's vitals declined. Just before they could be extinguished completely, Sakura increased her chakra flow into the seal and Yugito's pulse returned. Lil 2? Asked B as he came out from his unusual silence, a hope reigniting his own flame. I've got a pulse, but I can only hold this seal for so long, maybe 10 minutes at most, said Sakura. Once I release it, unless we can find some way to get her heart beating on its own, I'm afraid there's not much more I can do. Lil 2's a Jinchuriki. Biju chakra's what she needs, said B. Hachibi-san says if we seal some of his chakra into her, Lil 2 might just make it. But, this KB don't know seals. No, that's fine, said Sakura. While KB didn't know Fuinjutsu, especially enough to seal demonic chakra, she did know someone who did. B-san, please go get Naruto. He'll be able to seal the Hachibi's chakra. With that, B said a few words before darting back to the battle to grab his fellow Jinchuriki. You really are stupid, aren't you? Insulted Kakazu to Hiden. There's 9 of them and you think you can just rush in there. Hey, I can't help it. Jashin-sama demands S and I aim to please, grinned Hiden. Kakashi took a moment to analyze his opponents. 1. If knowledge served him looked like the infamous from the Shodime's time, Kakazu. But how was he still alive? The other, he couldn't quite pinpoint. However, the simple fact remained that these two were able to take down Yugito-ni, a known true Jinchuriki and one of Kumogakure's strongest shinobi. Despite the numbers being in his favor, this was still going to be a difficult fight. And of course, there was the imminent threat of Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi if either Sasuke or Guy failed to intercept them. Uncovering his Sharingan, Kakashi and the rest of the ninja prepared for the fight. Hiden made the first move, charging once again at the Kunoiki who had attacked him earlier. As he swung down with his scythe, Karui moved her sword to block. Thankfully, she was strong enough to prevent the scythe from digging into her shoulder. While Karui tried desperately to hold her attacker at bay, Naruto and Omoi made an attack with their swords, the Akatsuki member through the sea and heart. However, rather than keel over and from what should have been a lethal attack, Hiden just laughed. Oh yes, the pain. I just love it, screamed Hiden, stunning everyone who had witnessed it. How had that not K him? Both Naruto's and Omoi's swords should have L his heart. Look out, warned Neji as a black shadowy figure rose up directly behind Hidden. Futon, pressure damage. From the mask, a violent tempest engulfed Naruto, Karui, Omoi, and Hidden. The attack came too late for any of them to prepare a defense and they were hit point blank from the attack. However, what surprised the more analytical minds present was the fact that this thing attacked everyone before returning to Kakazu's side. Karui, Omoi, and Naruto were hard against the wall of the cave from the sudden explosion of air. Naruto managed to get up with relative ease while Karui struggled to her feet. Omoi, however, seemed to have taken a good hit to the head there and was unconscious against the wall of the cave. As for Hidden, he just stood where he was, the top of his robe shredded from the attack, but other than that and the bead pouring from two obvious sword wounds that should have K him, he presented himself as just fine. Hidden swung his scythe with the extended cable, first towards Naruto, who was able to get out of the way, and then at Karui. The Kumo Kunoiki looked as if she wouldn't be able to avoid it as she was still struggling, but Hidden's attack was stopped by a wall of ice, Haku appearing between her and the scythe. While the commotion was going on with Hidden, Neji analyzed Kakazu with his Byakugan. Something was off as Kakazu's chakra network looked nothing like that of a normal opponent. He wasn't even sure what he was looking at, rather it seemed like there were many paths of chakra that converged at 4 points along his torso, but wait, there was a fifth one moving along his arm, back into his torso. What do you see, Neji? Asked Kakashi. I don't know how to describe it. But it's definitely something I've never seen before, Kakashi-sensei, replied Neji. Kakashi sighed. After Sasori, something unusual was defiantly a possibility. Kakashi made a subtle motion with his eyes. Let's go, Akamaru. We'll take this guy out in one shot. Exclaimed Kiba as Akamaru transformed into a copy of a feral Kiba. Gatsuga. Kakazu ducked underneath one of the spiraling torrents, and jumped out of the way of the second, moving directly into Neji's path. Yukan. Vacuum palm. Unsure of what exactly his Byakugan was showing him, Neji resorted to another of the Hyuga techniques in his arsenal, forcing Kakazu to jump backwards. It was Neji's smirk that told the story though as Kakashi burst from the ground at a speed that was too fast for Kakazu to dodge, the copy ninja's signature Reikiri L through the left center of Kakazu's C. Damn you, groaned Kakazu as he crumpled to the ground. Hidden gasped as he noticed his companion drop, giving Haku the opportunity the ice user needed to drive a spire of ice through the other Akatsuki member's stomach. Way to go, Kakashi-sensei. Cheered Naruto. Don't tell me he got one of your hearts, spat Hidden. Despite being skewered by a spire of ice, the ex-Yuga ninja was still yapping. However, gripping his scythe, Hidden S down on the ice anchor, shattering it as he leapt to Kakazu's side. Seeing this, Kakashi decided to try and end this, activating his Reikiri again and charging Hidden. Perhaps L the head would silence this guy. Kakashi-sensei. Look out, shouted Neji. Neji's suspicions were confirmed to an extent when Kakazu picked himself up and jumped towards Kakashi, hoping to blindside him from the rear. Kakashi disengaged just in time, avoiding the S from Hidden's side and the punch from Kakazu from behind. The scythe and the fist met one another and the two Akatsuki members looked at one another. What did ya say we S these idiots now? Asked Hidden. Sounds good, replied Kakazu as he took off his jacket. How? There's no way I missed his heart, mulled Kakashi as the Konoha and remaining Kumo ninja regrouped. As Kakashi said that, 4 of those black figures from before burst from Kakazu's back, each bearing a different color mask. Neji, what do you see? His chakra still flows weird, almost as if there's no chakra network. However, the chakra used to converge at the points where those things were before they erupted from his back, analyzed Neji. However, it was noticed that one of the black figures crumpled to the ground and Hidden, tisked. Ha, I knew it. He got one of them, it's S. Raiton, false darkness. Out of the figure wearing a yellow mask, massive bolts of lightning erupted, not giving the group a chance to wait anymore or sit and think. Naruto, Kakashi, Neji, and Samui jumped right while Kiba, Haku, Sai, and Karui, carrying an unconscious Omoi jumped left. While in the air, 2 more of those masked figures jumped in front of the right group and fused their threads together. Kaiten, intelligent hard work. Futon, pressure damage. The two jutsus combined into one and blasted the four ninja with a violent firestorm before they had a chance to put up a defense. O Lord Jashin-sama, watch me as I demonstrate my true dedication to you. Praised Hidden. Look on and rejoice as I decorate the land with their viscera. What the hell is up with this guy? Said Kiba. Let's go Akamaru, he's going to have to keel over eventually. Way ahead of you, dog boy, said Karui as she charged Hidden, bent on getting revenge for Yugito. Hidden swung with his scythe, forcing Karui to stop her attack, but not before getting nicked on the shoulder. Hidden grinned as he retracted the scythe and licked the bee off the blade. Using some of his own bee that was pouring from his open wounds, he drew a symbol on the ground beneath him. Preparations are complete, said Hidden as he pulled a long needle out of his robe. What preparations are you talking about? Shouted Karui as she drove her blade through Hidden's side. However, upon doing so, an immense pain shot through her body. Looking down, she was shocked to see Bee pulling up on herself in the same location where she is hidden. What the hell? Hey, rejoice in the pain. Rejoice in Jashin-sama, preached Hidden. From up behind, seeing his chance, Kiba and Akamaru attacked, sinking their claws and fangs into Hidden's shoulders and causing Karui to scream out in pain once again as wounds somehow opened up on her shoulders, exactly where Kiba and Akamaru had bitten. Kiba, get out of there, advised Haku. Something wasn't right. Why was Karui the one getting injured and yet, this guy just stood there like he was in ecstasy? Hyoten, ice prison. Ice shot up around Hidden, taking extra care not to injure him, only immobilize him. However, Haku's ice attack wasn't destined to last long as the heat from Kakuzu's attack crept into their battle, weakening the ice to the point where Hidden could break it. Now, grinned Hidden as he took the needle and jabbed it through his heart. What? The priest shouted in surprise when Karui didn't just drop S and spit up B. Looking down to make sure everything was still in place, Hidden noticed that his symbol was no longer there, having been washed away by the runoff from Haku's ice. Hey, looks like we can get him now, let's go, Akamaru. Gat sugar. Kiba and Akamaru barreled towards Hidden, sensing the hesitation in his movements and realizing that something was up with this weird jutsu out of curse thing. Now was their chance as the two spiraling fangs collided with Hidden, sending him back. Are you okay? Haku asked to Karui. What does it look like? I'm B from my stomach and shoulders. No, I'm not okay, replied Karui. Before, when Kiba attacked, it looked as if Karui was the one who received the attack. And that was after he changed by licking her B off of his blade. Be you after my jutsu? Haku looked around for an explanation and noticed the washed out symbol on the ground. Could that have anything to do with his abilities? As Kiba and Akamaru went in for another round, Hidden swung with his scythe, drawing B, before he pushed the two off of him and went to work quickly preparing another ritual circle, all while Haku was watching. Sure, he was no Nara when it came to strategic thinking, but that didn't mean he wasn't an intelligent strategist. Between his time with Zabuza-sama and the Konoha Anbu, he had managed to pick apart the weaknesses in a number of enemy jutsus, and he would have to do just that now. For disrupting my ritual earlier, Jashin-sama will grant you a quick death. Shouted Hidden as he held his C with the needle and a yelp of pain echoed throughout the cavern. AKA MARU. Sasuke-kun, they're just up ahead, notified Karen, who had to resort to being carried by Sasuke, much to her pleasure. Despite having some training in using chakra to boost her abilities, she didn't have anywhere near the speed that Sasuke or Guy had, and the two were headed at top speed, driven by Sasuke's desire to meet his brother, one last time. The three Konoha ninja came to a stop in a clearing, next to a large lake. There was no surprise attack from their enemy as Hoshigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi stood across the clearing from them. Ototo, said Itachi as he looked at his brother with an emotionless face. Hey, it looks like I'll be able to pay you back for that kick you gave me last time, grinned Kisame. Guy-sensei, said Sasuke. I understand. This is something you need to do. You face your brother and I'll fight, who are you? Asked Guy, pointing towards Kisame. Tell me Itachi, is this the real you? Asked Sasuke. Or some fake like last time? Foolish little brother, said Itachi as he looked at Sasuke with his eyes. Tsukuyomi. Jutsu. Ninpo, defibration jutsu. A medical ninjutsu designed to restart the heart of someone whose heart has gone into cardiac arrest. Rank, C. Fuin, resuscitation seal. A medical seal developed by the Uzumaki clan that acts first to restart the heart and then keep it beating so long as chakra is flowing through the seal. However, if the cause of death is something other than heart failure, the resuscitation seal will only act as a life support system until the cause of death is either addressed or the user runs out of chakra. Rank B uses Sakura. Futon, pressure damage. Rank B. Raiten, Reikiri. Rank S. Raiten, false darkness. Rank B. Gatsuga. Rank C. Yukon, vacuum palm. Rank B. Hyoten, ice prison. Rank B. Tsukuyomi. Rank S. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.